Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with a daily analysis. Today's Thursday, the 4th of June 2020. Time is 10:01 here in the UK. You're looking at a USDCAD daily chart. Just going to do a quick organization of this list. Take this up there and then awesome, we're good to go. Right, let's get into the analysis, guys. One thing over here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so yesterday there was, oh no, was it yesterday that it was entered? I think it was entered. No, it was entered yesterday. Yesterday there was a EURCAD trade. We talked about that in a little bit of detail. Unfortunately, the CAD news turned that around on us. Now, I didn't enter this trade, as I explained yesterday. So when I say us, I don't literally mean that I got into the trade. I just mean a lot of people got into the trade in the course forum and stuff. So that's why I'm saying us. So it turned around on us thanks to that CAD news. And I say thanks sarcastically because it's a bad thing that it turned around on us. But yeah, that BOC rate statement just completely turned it around. Now, the question is, should you hold on to this trade? If I were in it, I would probably just hold on to it until Friday. It was moving up yesterday. It did get turned around. It has been moving down today. And today is Thursday, and tomorrow is NFP. Yeah, I take back what I said. With tomorrow being NFP, I'd probably exit by the end of today unless it started gaining any significant ground to the upside. But it's not looking that great right now. The past 2 hours, it started to move down. The good thing is it's obviously at support. So it's at the support area. Is it going to continue down from here? It's possible, but it's also possible that it's going to turn around because it's hitting support, and support means buyers. So I wouldn't get out right now, personally, if I was in this. I would leave it at least until the end of today. But since it's NFP tomorrow, I would probably consider exiting this evening unless it's done anything, unless it started moving towards my target. If it started to move towards my target, let's actually go back to the chart. If it started to move towards my target, then I'd keep it open. So what news is coming up? Well, today we got some news out of the EU, the main refinancing rate, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that matters a whole lot. It's zero. It's probably going to stay zero. I don't think we're going to get any surprise changes. The press conference maybe could cause some movements. It has been known to do so. So do be careful around that time. But yeah, whatever. Tomorrow is the big one. Tomorrow we got NFP. But as always, or as lately, I will be trading through it. So let's look at some more charts. It was a pullback yesterday on AUDUSD. Never quite hit support. So, yeah, off the list. AUDUSD, looking quite good, guys. It's looking quite good. Now, it's a shame that this indecision candle is so big. Really gives us a not so great risk to reward ratio. But as you guys know, there's other criteria for entry. You don't have to use that low as an entry point. It is the safest entry, but you could definitely go for a tighter entry if you want to. There's definitely some potential options here. Point is, we're looking good on a short on AUDUSD. How I would personally handle this one, and probably how I'm going to handle it, because I do want to enter this one, is an approach that I know a lot of you aren't going to like, because it involves waiting for a retrace that might never happen. but I don't really feel comfortable entering before yesterday's low was broken. I just don't. I think that I need to see a break of that low. Okay, actually, let's take a step back. I'm going to give you guys several different options to enter this trade. You can ask me what I think is best. I'll tell you what I think is best. But ultimately, and this is how trading should be, because I think it's really, really silly to just follow what one guy does. You should be able to decide things for yourself. So I'm going to give you several different options, tell you pros and cons for each of those options, and you decide what's best for you. If you want some advice on deciding what's best for you and you're a member of the course, feel free to email me, feel free to ask me. I'm happy to help you on a one-on-one level. But in this webinar, I'm just going to give you several options. You decide what's best. So option number one is to do what I would probably do and what I usually lean towards doing. So that is waiting for a break of the low. I'm always more confident with a trade if it's breaking a low, right? Or a high if it's a long trade. So I would wait for a break of a low, probably a bit tighter than that, but that's going to give me a 1.29 risk to reward ratio. That's atrocious. I cannot accept that. So instead, I would just wait for a retrace. I know a lot of you guys don't like doing that because it means that you can miss out on the trade, because let's say this low is broken and it never retraces, then you're not getting into the trade. So what I would do is wait for the low to be broken, and then I'd have an entry probably closer to, I would say, this is just an estimate, but I would say around about here. So what that would look like would be after this low breaks, it would retrace to here, hopefully. And then I have a much better risk to reward ratio. 68800. So you have a sell limit there. Cool. That's around about there. Yeah. So that's option number one. Break, retrace. Drawbacks of this option is there's a huge chance that you're going to miss the trade. There's a huge chance that it'll break this low. So come down to here, then retrace to here just before your entry. Just to there, and then go down. Happens more than I like. There's a chance that it'll break and it'll never retrace. It'll just break and go boom, straight down. Happens less. It happens less, but it does happen. So biggest drawback of this is that you're missing out on the trade opportunity because it just never really pulls back. Another option, enter right now. Just jump into the trade right now. Now, a lot of people are a bit scared of this option because you're not getting any confirmation. But with this option, and this is something that I'm going to be adding to the course as an entry option in a lot more detail than I'm talking about right now. But basically what we're doing here is we're just jumping into the trade because we know it's at resistance. We know it's stalling out. And jumping in right now would give us an amazing entry. So we'd be getting in right here. Stop loss could go here. Look at this risk to reward ratio, 2.56. Amazing, great, fantastic. So that's an option. You could just jump in right now. Drawbacks of this is if you're doing this for a lot of trades, you're going to take a lot more losses. Now, losses aren't everything in trading. As you guys know from the chat room, where this year, based on Viet's trades in the chat room, those are the official trades of the chat room that the head trader of the chat room puts out, we're at a 35% win rate. 35%. That means 65% of the trades are losses. But what is a loss as defined by the trades? What is a loss? A loss is usually a trade that's closed out early, way before it reaches the maximum stop loss. So our losses end up being like, let's say, just for the sake of example, you risk 1% in a trade. But most trades are closed out early in the chat room because they're just not working out. So they're closed out early with like a 0.3% loss. So 30% of the original stop loss, or 30% of the original risk. That's where they're taken out. Wins, on the other hand, wins end up averaging, I can't remember the exact numbers, but let's just say 3%. It's something like that. Wins end up being 3%. So if losses average out to 0.3% and wins average out to 3%, a 35% win rate, this is a lot of percents. I'm not going to do the math because I'm already confusing myself here. But the point is, even with a 35% win rate, you're making a crazy good return. You're making money. And that's what trading is at the end of the day. It's making money. Or, well, that's a kind of a risky way to look at it. But growing your account balance, that's the end goal for the trader. Your first goal is protecting. Your second goal is growing. But we all want to grow our account balance or our capital. So you could do that with a 35% win rate. The chat room is proof of that. All you guys who are in the chat room know this because the accounts are growing if you follow Viet's trades, and Viet's account is growing even with a 35% win rate. So the reason I'm going on about this so much is because that is what this approach relies on. It relies on getting a bigger return on trades. It relies on taking more trades because you're not doing the first approach where you're missing out on the entry. You just jump in now. Sure, you're going to lose more trades. Sure, it might take your win rate down to like, I don't know, 40%, let's say. But because you're getting in a lot earlier, you're making more on each win. And when a trade starts going against you, it's pretty easy to tell. So you can close it out early. You can limit your losses a lot easier with this. So that's option number 2. Just jump in now. Jump in now, and yeah, go for it if you want to. Option number 3 is to just enter on a break and accept a crappy risk to reward ratio of 1.4 or 1.3 or 1.29 we're looking at. So you could just enter on a break. It would have to be a bigger break than that, like a 5 or 6 or 10 pip break, whatever it is. And you just deal with the crappy risk to reward ratio. And obviously there's other options like that you can do with your pending orders, whatever you want. But these are the 3 main options as I see them with this trade. I'm leaning towards the retrace option, but hey, you could enter right now too. It's something that the idea was floated to me by a member, but it was also an idea that I had been playing with for years of just jumping into trades when they hit support or resistance, just like going for it. And the results that trader, the member of the course, was showing me and was talking about, they were pretty encouraging. So I started considering it more and more. And yeah, that's why it's going to be added to the course. In back testing against my actual results, it seems like it would have probably ended up being more profitable, but it's really hard to say for sure if it would have ended up being more profitable. The only way to truly test this is to forward test. So yeah, if you want to jump in right now, I think that's perfectly viable, but keep in mind there's a high chance of losses. But your risk to reward ratio is hopefully going to balance that out over the long term. We're 15 minutes in, we've only talked about AUDUSD, so let's move on. AUDUSD, there's a short setup here to summarize several different entry options. You decide what works best for you. I'm probably going to go with the retrace entry option just because it's tried and tested, and for me, it's just it's what I know and what I'm used to. I am open to this other thing I was talking about, but the way I like to do things is I could trade this concurrently on a separate account, which is set up mainly for testing this kind of entry strategy, or I could just do it on a demo account, which I would trade concurrently to test that entry strategy. Or I would just paper trade it, which is not the best because I'm just not really, I don't really keep up with my paper trading properly. It's really best to demo trade it for me. So I'll probably concurrently demo trade this by entering right after this webinar at where it's at now. Anyway, guys, EURJPY, still looking at this as a potential, but I really need it to hit this resistance area. It's not hit the resistance area yet, so I'm not doing anything there. GBPUSD, there was a trade here that never quite hit resistance, and it triggered kind of like just as I was waking up. So it was a pretty crap bit of timing for me, because I didn't look at the charts when I first woke up. So it has broken out technically. It is pulling back a little bit, so there's still an opportunity to enter this one. Yeah, you got in it. You're in Australia though, so you were awake. Unfortunately, I moved out of Australia 10 years ago, so I was asleep. Well, I wasn't asleep. I was technically awake, but I hadn't looked at my charts yet. I have this new rule where I do a workout as soon as I wake up, before I even go to my phone or my computer. Because the second I get on my computer or I start looking at my smartphone, I get wrapped up in whatever I'm doing. Like what would have happened this morning is I would have seen this GBPUSD trade, I would have started trading this, and then the workout would have never happened because I would have been doing this, that, and it just extends into my whole day's taken up at my computer or on my smartphone. So I ignore all tech, do my workout, and then I look at stuff. And thanks to that, I've missed the trade, but also thanks to that, I'm hopefully not going to die of a heart attack at 50. Because I'm sitting down trading all day and coding all day and doing all other stuff. So I've missed this, but there's still an opportunity to get in. Because I would really like to have a stop loss up here. So I'd really want to get in around about this level. I would need a big enough retrace. What I'm going to do with this one, guys, is I'm just going to set a pending order here to get me into this trade. Actually pretty much here. Yeah, I'll set it pretty much here, 1.2536. I'll set my stop loss roughly here, 1.2676. Because I want it quite high. Essentially, I'm just trying to get it towards the top of this 200 moving average. And my target would just go down here at the support area. So I'm basically counting on another bounce from this resistance area that's coupled with the 200 moving average. I mark this as green. It's not officially entered, but I know a lot of you are in it. And I'm going to set a pending order as soon as this webinar's done. So I'll just do that. I'll mark that as green. New Zealand JPY, this one's given us a really, really nice looking setup on the daily if it closes like this. But on the 12-hour, it's already giving us a nice setup. So we've been eyeing this one for a little while. It is stalling out. That's a good sign. Definitely potential to enter a short trade here, guys. Now, keep in mind, your trading against a really strong trend here. So this is a risky trade. It is by no means a safe and easy trade. This is a pretty strong trend by this point. So countering this trend is going to be risky. I wouldn't do so lightly. Really think about, is this worth the risk for you? Honestly, it's probably not worth the risk for me. You know, I'm not against counter trend trading. I mean, most of my career has been built on counter trend trading. I was a counter trend trader before I was a trend trader. But there are some trends that just kind of don't make sense to counter. And this move by New Zealand right now is pretty crazy, steep. I'm tempted. I'm not going to lie. I'm tempted to get in. But I'm probably just gonna skip it. That being said, guys, I've been known to say I'm gonna skip it, and then all of a sudden I'll post to the forum saying, "Hey guys, I'm getting in." So let's not count this one out. I might get in. New Zealand USD is also the other option. I would say just pick one of the two in this case. New Zealand JPY, New Zealand USD. Pick one of the two, or go into both and split your risk evenly. So when I say that, if you pick one of the two, you go into New Zealand USD and you risk whatever you normally risk on a trade. Let's say it's 1% for easy numbers. Jump into New Zealand USD short, 1% risk. Or you could use the different approach and jump into both, because they're pretty much the same trade, with 0.5% risk on each. So the risk you would use on one trade, you split evenly between the two. I believe this is called game theory. I don't know if that's true though. I don't really understand game theory fully. I've never really looked into it that much, but I believe it's called game theory, where you split between two and your chances of one working out are better. So all results, the results can only, well no, they can't only be better. But the worst case scenario is you lose 1%, which you would have lost anyway, but you have more scenarios in which you can gain. Because if one goes bad, you lose 0.5%, but then the other one going good means you gain 1.5%. Something like that. Point is, it's something I quite commonly do. I'm not 100% sure it's called game theory, but that's an approach I would definitely consider on these two. Most importantly, don't go in with your full risk on both of these trades, because they're the same trade. I would challenge anyone to tell me the difference at a glance between these two charts. They are almost exactly the same. And I know, like, if I took a picture of this chart and a picture of New Zealand JPY without the side thing that obviously gives it away, most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference 5 minutes later. You'd have to really try to memorize the shape of some of these candles to 5 minutes later be able to spot the difference. These are so well correlated right now. It's crazy. So correlations can break at any time, but I'm not betting on this correlation breaking right now. Don't enter both of these with full risk, because you're basically just doubling the risk on a trade. You may as well enter one of them with 2% at that point. USDCAD, guys. This one I'm super excited about. I love the look of this trade. 200 moving average is backing us up, which is always just like a nice little addition. It is hitting a pretty strong support area. It is stalled out for pretty much 3 days now, just waiting on those buyers to come in and start pushing it up. It might never happen because NFP, you know how things get on NFP week, but I'm really loving the look of this one. I think this has some potential. Also, it could just build up pressure on the support area and break through. When price hits the 200 moving average, there's a lot of times where you could see that it kind of like builds up pressure and then backs away. But then sometimes it'll just build up pressure and break through. And as I say that, I can't find any actual examples of it happening. So I guess here, but it never really kept going. Anyway, my point is, it's not unknown that price will get stuck on this 200 moving average because it's a pretty good area of support and eventually just like break through there. So I'm not saying it's 100% turning around. You can never say that, but it is definitely stalled out here. If I start seeing some move by bulls taking us up to this point here, roughly the 1.358, I'll definitely be looking to get in this one. I'm pretty excited for this. It has a pretty good risk to reward ratio. You can improve that by entering on a retrace and doing all those cool things that we've already discussed. Or guys, remember what we discussed? Several options. You could just enter right now. Riskier, way riskier, but you could just enter right now. What would that do for you in terms of risk to reward ratio? Enter right now, have a pretty decent size stop loss. Risk to reward ratio, 4.65. What the hell? That's crazy. Whereas entering on a break of the high of this candle here with an equal stop loss, 1.98. See what I mean? You will lose more trades if you enter like this, but the crazy risk to reward ratio allows you to possibly balance that out. So take that into consideration, guys. You can enter right now. I might start trading CAD JPY again, to be honest. It's not a bad pair to trade. It's not on resistance right now, so I wouldn't trade it anyway, so let's not. No. Alright, so there's a new potential on GBPAUD. It's honestly not actually, but this resistance area, it was valid at the time of placing it, but it's starting to look more like this is the support resistance situation here. So it actually is somewhat valid. I just don't like how low it dipped yesterday. As you guys know, I like to place my stop loss below recent lows. So this would give you a 2% risk reward, a 2R risk reward ratio. Yeah, I don't like it that much. It's countering it really strong. I don't like this one at all. But hey, if you guys want to enter, the opportunity is certainly there. And GBPUSD looks like it's moving down. So GBPAUD could be continuing down. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm not going to do anything with GBPAUD, but I'll just leave it up there in case some of you want to enter it. GBP New Zealand has made some new lows. GBP New Zealand is fast approaching its support area, and this is a strong support area, guys. It's pretty much a 6-month low. Strong support area here. It's hitting the support area. It's obviously reacting at it from it, as you would expect with such a strong support area. GBP New Zealand could reverse. Could reverse. Let's keep an eye on it. See what happens. probably not going to happen until next week. So USDCHF, glad I didn't enter this one. We were talking about it earlier this week. I said I didn't like it. Glad I didn't enter. USDJPY hitting resistance. Potential short here, maybe. Needs to head further into resistance for my liking. And silver, we talked about this yesterday. Definitely potential, and now it's actually coming to pass. This potential continuation on silver. We're talking about a dip back down to here for a continuation. Looks like it's happening. You enter on the 12 hour. You can actually enter this right now, guys. You could jump in literally this second, and it would make sense. I'm exaggerating a bit. I'd say a little bit higher would be better. Wait for it to push a little higher, even just a tad higher than it is right now. But you definitely enter this. I'm not going to. I don't really like trading gold and silver. Like most of the times I try it, it just doesn't really work out for me. I need to really sit down and develop a rule set for trading gold and silver, because I think the rules, the strategy works on gold and silver as far as I've seen, but it just, you need to implement some things differently. And I know some of you have done that yourselves and you trade gold and silver, but I just need to figure out a rule set that I'm comfortable with for trading gold and silver. Because every time I do it, I end up getting stuck in these trades that just last for weeks. And they never quite reach my target, but they never really hit my stop loss. Well, sometimes they do, but not always. So, yeah, you could enter this right now. Silver, long. Or, sorry, not enter right now. What I mean is enter a pending order right now. Around about 117.72. And yeah, just ride it up, because this looks like a pretty decent trend that you would be following. So definitely something to consider there, guys. So that's pretty much it for the analysis, guys. I'm going to set my pending on GBPUSD. EURCAD, like I said, I would leave it open at least until this evening, see where it's at this evening. AUDUSD potentials, and I'm not going to go through these again, guys. I went through them very in-depth today, so I don't think there's much need to go over them again. You guys know what's going on. I've already explained it all. Are there any questions, guys? You got in at 125. What was that for? Oh, it was GBPUSD. You got in at 125.36. Nice. That's a good entry. I'll stick around for a few minutes in case there's questions, or like at least a minute. Give people who are slow to type a chance to type in their questions in case there are any. Because a lot of times I'll end the webinar and then I'll see the question pop into the chat. So excuse the awkward silence while I just sit here, stare at my screen in case there's questions, but For those of you who haven't seen the dashboard, I encourage you to check it out, by the way. I realized yesterday that New Zealand USD isn't on this list. I don't know how I messed that up. But I'll be adding more pairs to this list. I'll be adding another 5 pairs to the list. I've learned to mess with APIs because I've taken a JavaScript course. Some of you guys might know that I built the Forex for Noobs website myself. It's built on WordPress, but I built the theme myself. Not saying this to brag, but what I'm saying is that for years and years, I've been into coding and web development because I just enjoy it. It's something I like. So I took a course on JavaScript because that was my biggest weakness. And now I finally have a pretty good understanding of JavaScript and how to mess with APIs, which opens the door to a whole lot of cool things in terms of trading tools that I can build for you guys. This is just the start with this trading dashboard. It's not very interactive right now, but I'm planning on implementing drag and drop and deleting some of these pairs that you don't really care about. That way you have a smaller list to look at. I'll be adding features like that. This feature is pretty cool. Suggests what direction to trade in if you're trying to follow the trend. What's trending the strongest right now is AUDJPY, according to the tool. And, you know, you don't really need a tool to tell you that, but it's handy to have a list because eventually I want to include like 40 pairs on this. So it will give you a list of what's trending. That way you can focus on that. Also currency strength index. I've shown this to you guys before, but you know, not everyone's watching all the time. So just kind of like a reminder to check it out if you haven't. Or if you haven't heard about it. It's on the... What? Oh, okay. Must have refreshed this page. So yeah, it's on the menu right now. So yeah, do check it out if you want to, guys. If you have any questions about it, just ask me in the chat room or just email me and I'll help you out with it. There's going to be more stuff added to it. There's going to be a calendar soon. I'm going to make the best calendar in the Forex industry because I hate all the calendars in the Forex industry. Yeah, so that is it from me today, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you for tomorrow's analysis. No, I won't because today's Thursday. I'll see you in the chat room and the forum tomorrow, members. Everyone else, I'll see you guys on Tuesday at 10 a.m. for the next analysis session. Thank you very much and see you later.